be able to do to their left. All right, so we're skipping. Go. Touch your belly button, touch the back of your neck. And backwards. Basketball is a rhythm game. It's a rhythm game. So we want to develop the central nervous system. We want to create some rhythm with everything they do. We're going to keep the ball up nice and high, and we're going to sway side to side. Sway side to side while we skip. Careful. Go. Go ahead. We have a simple philosophy at DeMatha as far as rhythm. And when we're playing, we want to establish ours. We want to disrupt theirs. That's how we view everything at DeMatha. We want to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it. We don't want our opponent to have that luxury. Now we'll chin the ball, elbows out, and let's twist side to side. 180-degree rotation while we're skipping. Go. Back to the brick-by-brick philosophy. Most coaches take a look at the warm-up and they simply say, what can I accomplish in 8 to 10 minutes? And I understand that looking at it as an isolated time, isolated 8 minutes, you really can't accomplish a ton. But it goes back to the brick-by-brick philosophy. See, I'm fortunate enough to get kids at DeMatha as 14-year-old freshmen in high school. And I'm allowed to work with them 5 to 6 days a week, most weeks of the year, for the next 4 years. That's a lot of bricks. That's a lot of times, a lot of repetitions where we can change movement patterns. So if you give me a 14-year-old and that young person has difficulty squatting correctly, or they're not very coordinated when they skip, it's okay. We're going to be able to address it every single day. That's why the warm-up is so important. And I said it yesterday, and I said it every single time I talk. If you don't leave here with anything else, leave here with this. When you go back and you run your next practice, don't you dare just have your kids jog around in a circle 3 or 4 times and then sit on their ass and pretend to stretch. You're doing nothing with purpose, and you're not doing anything to physically or mentally engage them to compete. I want to challenge you to broaden your thinking to make sure that everything you do, brick by brick, is done with purpose. We're going to do the same things. Go ahead and spread out, guys. All the way to the end, my friend. We're going to face this direction, and now we're just going to laterally gallop side to side. Not really a defensive slide, but I want to get some lateral movement to loosen up your groin. We're going to do the same 3 things with the upper body. So you're going to touch the ball to your belly button and the back of your neck. A nice lateral gallop. When you hit there, come on back. Go. And then you guys should be able to figure out the next 2 patterns. There's something called perceived relevance that's an extremely important concept. Yep, there you go. Perceived relevance means your players clearly understand that what you're having them do will make them better on Tuesday and Friday nights. And again, I just use that, I keep saying Tuesday and Friday nights because in Maryland, the high school that we play, that tends to be the nights where we play most of our games. Of course, you can change that to whatever fits your schedule. But perceived relevance means players clearly understand that what you're having them do will make them better come game time. If there's any question that what you're having them do will make them better, it is your job as a coach to point it out. It is your job as a coach to connect the dots and make sure they get it. And the higher the perceived relevance, the better focus and the better effort your players will give. As soon as a player does not believe that what you're having them do will make them better come game time, they will check out. They will not give you good effort. They will not give you good focus. So it's important that we connect that perceived relevance. Now, the cool thing about basketball players, real quick, earmuffs, most of them aren't very smart. Most of them aren't very smart. And with most basketball players, by simply giving them a basketball, the perceived relevance goes up. We could obviously go through this same warm-up without a basketball, easily. But I like to add a basketball to everything that we do because it increases the perceived relevance. By putting a ball in their hand, they just feel like it's more specific and feel like it'll help them on Tuesday and Friday nights. So anything we can do to increase that, we want to do. Thanks. I'm going to put the ball between your feet. We're going to face this direction. You're going to drop your butt down, chest up, shoulder blades back, and we're just going to walk the ball nice and slow. Really getting those hips going, get that groin going. Want to make sure your feet stay parallel. They don't open up like a W. I don't want you to bend over at the waist, and I don't want you standing up and back down. I want you in one low, perfect postured position the entire time. We'll slowly walk the ball to the other sideline. We'll slowly walk it back. Take your time. Slow and low will win the race. Now, I went through a much more extensive warm-up yesterday, and of course, for anyone that wasn't here, I believe Adam said you're going to be able to watch that stuff online. So I'm going to keep today's warm-up really brief because I've got so much other stuff I want to share with you in the next 48 minutes. So as soon as go ahead and right back, same thing. Anything we do to our left, we do to our right. As soon as we're done this real quick abbreviated warm-up, I'm going to take them through a few mobility exercises. I mentioned yesterday, for those of you that work with females, females are 5 to 8 times more likely to suffer an ACL injury than males. Some of that is due to some genetic differences we can't address. A lot of that is due to some training factors that we can address. I work at an all-boys school. I work at an all-boys Catholic school. So I don't use ACL injury reduction terminology with my guys, but you better believe that we do it every single day. And of course, Derrick Rose, the NBA MVP, was susceptible to an ACL injury, so it's not something that only female players should worry about. But we address ACL injury reduction every single day. It's built into the fabric of our warm-up. So we make sure that our warm-up has purpose, and we make sure that we're doing things to make our kids less likely to suffer an injury. You guys can just leave the balls where they are and just come on out to your about rim to rim. Just move your line forward, rim to rim. We'll go through a few mobility exercises now. For the most part, when it comes to strength and conditioning, and this mindset is rampant in the United States, is that more is better. If strength training twice a week is good, then strength training 5 times a week is better. If running 2 suicides is good, then running 20 of them is better. And for some reason, that's just the U.S. mentality. And from a strength and conditioning standpoint, that is not true. More is not better. Better is better. We need to make sure that everything we do is high quality. People are actually shocked at how little, from a volume standpoint, that we do at DeMatha to get our kids in tremendous basketball shape. So we want to make sure everything we do is quality. All right, first thing you're going to do, we're going to really address mobility in your hips. We're going to get down in a plank position, everybody, which is the upper part of a push-up position. Your hands are directly under your shoulders. Your feet are the same width as your hands. I want you to bring your foot up so that your toes are in front of your fingers. Your arms are inside of your knee. Your back leg is as straight as you can get it. And I want you to look up and reach up for 5 good reps. Look up and reach up for 5 good reps. When you get those 5 good reps on that hand, keep your legs where they are and get 5 good reps with the other hand. We like doing mobility and flexibility exercises to give you more bang for your buck. So right now, this is addressing a lot. They call this the world's greatest stretch because it's getting the hip flexor, it's getting the butt. You have to keep your foot where it is and make sure you get 5 with the other hand. Once you've done that, go ahead and switch legs. Once you've done that, go ahead and switch legs. Tremendous for building mobility in the hips. The best way you can protect the knees is by improving mobility in the ankles and the hips, the 2 joints on either side of the knee. If the hips are really tight or the ankles don't flex, every single time a player runs or jumps or lands, all of that impact goes into the knee if those other joints can't absorb some of that impact. Okay, then walk it back into a catcher's position. So you're going to sit like a catcher in baseball. Now the goal is to be able to keep your feet flat and your butt as close to the ground as you can. If you can't get your feet flat, or as soon as you sit back, you fall, that just means you're lacking some mobility in your hips or in your ankles. Not a big deal, just something to know. Go ahead and put all 10 fingers on the ground, and I want you to raise your hips up as high as you can without your fingers leaving the ground. Get a good pause at the top, and then bring it right back down. So you're going to get a really good hamstring stretch at the top, a good groin and low back stretch at the bottom. Just count out 5 of those, please. A lot of the stuff I do with the guys at DeMatha has a yoga kind of derivative to it. We adopted doing some yoga stuff during the season last year, and our kids absolutely loved it. The first couple times we did it, it was a little bit of a grab-ass session. The kids were kind of joking around because it was something really new to them, but once they got into it and realized how much better their bodies felt, it was something we incorporated very regularly. Go ahead and stand up now, and let's go double hip width apart. I want you to hang straight down to the middle. I want you, keeping your feet flat, I want you to shift your hips to the right, getting a good groin stretch. Shift your hips to the left to get a good groin stretch. Then I want you to walk out and do what's called a cobra stretch. I want your head and shoulders up, your hips to the ground. The only thing touching the ground are your fingers and your hands and your toes, excuse me. And then walk back in. Get 5 of those, please. So you're getting a really good groin stretch, either side. Then we're getting a hip flexor, abdominal stretch. So all we need to do, going back to the more is not better, we just need to pick a handful of these exercises, 3 or 4 of them that address every single muscle group and joint in their body, and we're going to be good to go. I know that as coaches, time is of a premium. You might only have 90 minutes to run a full practice, and if you only have 90 minutes, I totally understand you don't want to spend 15 to 20 of that going through a warm-up. But find what you can devote to it, even if it's 8 to 10 minutes. But get the most out of that 8 to 10 minutes. Don't just slough it off again and just say, we have to warm up because that's what the physiology book says. Let's just jog a little bit and sit and stretch. Make the most of that 8 to 10 minutes, because that 8 to 10 minutes is another brick that you will add to your player's game. Looking good, gang. Once you're done, just have a seat on your backside. We'll get one more. I'll go Yep, we'll go here. You're going to keep your feet flat, hands flat, and you're going to bridge up. I want you to raise your hips as high as you can. Your goal is to get your torso parallel to the ground. It's going to give you a good shoulder and chest stretch. So we're going to lift up here, pause, down nice and slow. Just go ahead and count out 5 of those. 5 of those. Aside from the mobility work, anything that your players do is part of your warm-up. You can find a way to make it progressively more intense, and then that can be part of the actual workout. Anything that you actually have them do during your workout, you can find a way to make it less intense and incorporate that into the warm-up. The reason all of this stuff is interchangeable is because it all has purpose. So we want to make sure, oh, go ahead and stand up. And I need, do we know how many we got? Let me get, and it doesn't matter if it's boy or girl, let me get 6 in red and 6 in black. And they're going to be right here on the court. Everyone else can just have a seat. It doesn't matter who it is. 6 in red, 6 in black. We can mix up boy, girl, but it's going to be red versus black for the first thing that we're doing. It's got to be quick. Time's counting down here. Let's go. 6 in black, 6 in red.